Hi, and welcome to Second Level Impact. This is Miss Patti Catter sitting next to me, and I am Candace Cieslo. And today we are going to talk about what success looks like, what that means to you, because it definitely is something different for everybody. Miss Patti, what comes to your mind when you think about success?
It's a lot different than what I thought success was when I was in my 20s, that's for sure. So nowadays, I feel like if I'm taking care of myself, I'm doing a great job. If I'm taking care of other people, I think it's helpful. In the ways that I look at that as helping take care of other people, it would mean probably financially, make sure people have, my family has a roof over their head, make sure that I am physically, mentally, put together. And I think that those are the main topics off the top of my head.
Yeah. Well, I like the way you phrase that because it does change with time and age. In my 20s, I thought that I would success meant being married to someone who worked on Wall Street, wore a three-piece suit. We had money and were able to buy things. I thought that was success. So basically, marriage and career money. But now it could not be more opposite. It could not be more diametrically opposed than that. So now it is about success to me is how I'm contributing, how my family is, and how we are able to just have those times and moments together that are truly what make me happy and bring me joy. So complete different times.
Yeah, I was raised in a home where it was important to be able to take care of yourself, but really it was also important to be happy. Thankfully, I had a great role model. My grandma, she would tell me all the time that don't sweat the small stuff, right? So, like, don't sweat the small stuff. And that's important because I think oftentimes we do put too much pressure on ourselves. And it's because that we don't think that we're successful enough, whether it's you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, you're not rich enough, you're not athletic enough. You focus on all of these things where you think that you need to improve them. But at the end of the day, that those things are not the things that actually make you successful all the time.
It's funny because I feel like women have more pressure on them now than ever. We are supposed to, and so I'm kind of anti-feminist. No, but we are supposed to have this amazing family, look put together, have a meal, cook and clean. And now we're supposed to also be CEO, never be frazzled. We're supposed to run companies, corporations, volunteer, bake cookies, be homeroom mom, and do all that. We're supposed to do everything now. And I think that kind of unrealistic expectation is a bar of success that actually is a recipe for Prozac.
Well, yeah. So I believe firmly in this phase of my life, to be happy, I need to do what my heart tells me to do and not what everybody else expects of me. And I think that our definition of success really, when we're younger, comes from other people. How you should dress, how you should walk, how you should talk, how you should do your hair if you're a girl or even a guy, right? The old mullets. Remember the Bon Jovi
She brought up the
dreadlocks?
mullets.
Everybody's always trying to tell you how you should be successful or what makes you successful. But at the end of the day, they're not the ones laying your head on the pillow to try to sleep at night.
That's so true. Yeah. I think one of the number one probably determinants of success quickly off the top of your head would be financial success. And I understand that, but so Alaska taught me a lot. And one of the things is that having finances doesn't make you a good person. And you never know who is rich in Alaska and who is not, because that poor looking dude that walks through the door could basically own the town.
Yeah. I actually bought a gift card one time for somebody I had seen in Barnes and Noble, and I'm not going to say which one, but it turned out to be a celebrity. I had no idea he was a mess. Like he literally looked a mess. He was just kind of sitting in the corner by himself. He looked sad. He looked lonely. And so I went over to the lady. It was like one of those, I think it was a Barnes and Noble where the Starbucks is in there. So I go over to the Starbucks and I'm like buying him a gift card for coffee. I bought him a little coffee mug and a little card. And it was like, I hope you have a better day. I can tell you're upset. And I walk over and I give it to him. And when I'm giving it to him, his face looked kind of shocked, right? And I was like, oh, because probably nobody's ever given him anything was my thought. And I walk away and the woman's like, did you just give that to that guy? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, do you know who that is? And I was like, no, who is that? So it was a famous celebrity who has, I'm sure, well over the amount of money that I have, right?
Wow.
But it goes to show you that when I looked at this man, I looked and I saw lonely. I saw somebody who was just not all put together, honestly. And so while you think that money can bring success, which it can, right? You can be successful and have your life together and have a lot of money. But I also know in certain situations where actually just last night I gave a presentation with the FBI about white collar crime. You can also see a lot of people who are getting their money in a bad way. So they're committing fraud and they're doing all of these things. So while money looks like, wow, that person has it all put together, I want to be like that person. You may not want to be anything like that person.
Yeah. And I think if you're a good steward of your money, that is one thing, but money is something that controls people instead of us controlling our money. And it can be overwhelming. I know athletes, my friend Dania LaForce, her son, Terrence Mann, plays for the Clippers. And actually, she is part of this organization. She might have founded it, actually, but is definitely part of an organization that is helping professional athletes understand money that they're receiving, because most people did not come from making $22 million. Most of these athletes didn't come from that kind of financial background. So I think it's really beautiful that Dania has endeavored to be a part of something that's helping people who have this, who have come into and worked hard for it, but come into it. People who win the lottery. Can you imagine? Like I've heard devastating stories about people who win the lottery and they're having to move and change their names, and family and friends from like when they were 3 years old coming out of the woodwork. Money definitely does not make happiness. It can ease a lifestyle without a doubt. But if you look, I mean, Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, you can name celebrity after celebrity, Elvis Presley, who have died. And in retrospect, as we have the benefit of the hindsight 2020, looking through the lens backwards, we see how the money was a huge part of the corruption in their souls.
So sad.
Yeah, it really is. And so they hit a lot. They hit a couple of, they're, beautiful or very attractive. They have money, they have social status. And yet, their lives are cut short because of kind of maybe people not being truthful and holding them maybe to the same standard we hold each other to, like in our close circles. Like maybe no one was honest with them about the corruption or.
Oh, I believe that 100%. I don't know how many times I'll meet somebody, and I mean, you've done it too, right? You go into the store and you walk past somebody and you say, how are you? And they're like, I'm great. How are you? Why do people say that? And we've talked about this before on a show about authenticity, which you can go back and listen to, but we're just trying to appear like we're great, we're successful, we're fantastic, the world's amazing. And really, it's not always amazing all the time, but success is a loaded word, I think.
It really is.
Because there's many different ways that we could feel like we are successful. If if you make it through the day, sometimes like, oh my gosh, I feel like I was successful today because I didn't die on the highway in Florida where the people are driving nuts.
That is legit.
So I think there's a lot of different ways that we can use the word successful in our careers, in our personal lives, in our family life, our friend circle. There's a lot to it.
I think that you kind of hit on another one is I've heard that, wow, not for me, but friends of friends, like, wow, she hit the lottery. Her husband is rich, or wow, she hit the lot, or he hit the lottery, his wife is beautiful. But what is behind in that marriage? I don't know of any couple that married with money as kind of a factor that is doing well. Matter of fact, I know a couple that are really, it's difficult if money is the reason that you get married, or if looks are the reason you get married. If you married your spouse based on looks, that stuff fades. Please, if you were under the age of married, please know that there is so much beauty on the inside of a person. I do not have not one friend based on how they look. Not one. My closest friends, although they're all beautiful, I can't even differentiate between their personalities and the person I love and their looks anymore, because to me, they're all beautiful.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I have a friend of ours. He was a disabled veteran, or he is a disabled veteran. And we knew him for about 3 years. And one day we're standing next together at this bar. I don't drink, but it was like a bar where you can get appetizers and everything. And I'm just throwing this out there because I don't, whatever. Anyways, so we're standing there. I just don't want to sound like a major alkie or anything. So we're standing there, and out of the blue, I realized I'm standing next to him, and I'm like, "Hey, Joel, I didn't know you lost your legs in War II." And he's like, "You've known me for 3 years and you did not notice that I don't have legs?" And I'm like, "No, I thought, I never paid attention. I never paid attention." It literally dawned on me because he was saying some jokes, he's super humorous and he had some jokes about it. But I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're kidding me. I thought you had your legs." And he's like, "No." That's pretty interesting. You'd think that I would know, but he wore pants a lot. And I guess it just wasn't something that I was paying attention to. I just always was so entranced with our conversations.
So. One of the things that we talk about, you alluded to this, the military community, you only know life through the lens with which you've experienced it. So in the military community, being in the military is one of those measures of success in life and what you've accomplished. I was in airborne school. I was a paratrooper.
Oh my gosh.
It's a badge of honor, and I love that. But I had this person associated with my college. When I told them that I had joined the military, they said, "Oh," and they were kind of disappointed. And to me, and what they said was, only people go in the military when they don't have a choice, when they don't have any other options. And I was stunned because I'm like, I have a degree from Georgetown University. I have options.
Yeah.
But they said, that was their perception.
Wow.
That I only joined the military because I didn't have any other options. And I just was blown away by that very condescending, very myopic viewpoint of what the military is comprised of. For me, it was a call of duty, patriotism, family has done it.
Yeah. I honestly thought that you were going to go to this phase of, well, in the military, you get all these certificates, you get all the ribbons, what is successful, you get one ribbon, you want another one, another one, another one. I was recently talking to somebody about that, but that's insane. I mean, that's just crazy. Somebody who listens to my show, so you'll probably hear this. I didn't respond to you in a message that you sent on purpose, because this message was like, "Hey, you're looking good, but you look too skinny." And I was like, in my eyes, I was like, I'm successful with my weight. I'm successful with my nutrition. Like, I feel better than I ever have as an adult, period. Like, no question about it. And I've even been like, this sounds like no big deal to some of you, but I mean, I run upstairs now. Like when I'm on the escalator in the metro station, I literally, every time I'm on there now, I literally run up the stairs on purpose. Like some of these metros, there's like 250 yards up, I think, or something. Not yards.
Yards, feet.
Yeah, feet. Feet, not yards.
Yards is a quarter mile.
So to me, I feel like I'm in a really successful place. And so when he wrote that, I'm like, thanks. Like, why do you feel the need to say that?
Isn't it
So people will always be there to tell you why they don't think that you're successful. But as long as you feel successful, I think that's important.
It is so true. So a friend of mine, he just got back from vacation. I said, "Oh, where were you?" He goes, "Oh, in the Mediterranean." I'm like, "Oh, did you take a cruise?" He's like, "No, we were on a yacht." And my snarky response was, "Oh, slumming it, huh?" He goes, "Yeah, it's not my yacht." So it's like that is a different world and level. It's just perspective. You as long as, like, for me, now that I've learned and I've been around enough such diverse groups of people, like, I try to look at it from their perspective. And that's the best you can do, is just look at it from somebody else's perspective.
Absolutely. I mean, so I've wanted a boat for a long time. Do you know what kind of boat I want?
A kayak.
Kind of a pontoon. I love pontoons. I love
Yes.
pontoons.
Yes.
And somebody I was talking to recently, they're like, "Oh, what kind of boat do you want?" And I was like, I think it would be fun to have a pontoon on a lake sometime. Like if I had a little cottage somewhere, I would have a little pontoon boat. And their face was just like, "Oh." I was like, "Oh, that's the kind of boat you want."
Not the cabin.
You don't want a yacht of your own. You don't want a mansion. No, I just want to be happy in a little cottage, like on a mountain somewhere. Give me some fresh air, and I am so good.
Let me tell you something. Pontoon boats are so much fun. If you don't know what they are, they're little flat bottom boats. They don't go fast. They just put around. You can dive off of them. They have cover. It is basically like a floating dock with a couch.
Yes.
And they're amazing. We rented one when for my senior year, for our like our senior week or whatever. And Nikki, I will never forget. I will never forget being on that pontoon boat at Iowa City. But yeah, I think that's great. And that, to me, comfort and family, which is kind of the next topic. Like, when does success change from money or career to family? Like, what was that point for you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it was probably around the time that Ken had been wounded in war. So that was like 2007. I think because at that point we had lost so many friends who had died in war. And then when he came home, and we were just happy that he actually made it home. I think that was really a pivotal point, because before that we had a nice life. Ken was a police officer. We had 30 acres. We had a beautiful house. It's like over 4,000 square foot. And we could play football in the living room, like no joke. So it was really a great life. And then going through that whole deployment process and realizing how short life really is. And then even with my mom, she had battled cancer for a long time. So it was something when I was younger that I realized that life was short, that's kind of impacted me now today. It's like, yes, I work because I want nice things. I want to go to the spa. I want to get my nails done, my hair done. I love those things. To me, if I can do that, that's success right there. If I can take care of myself in a way that I know I need to be taken care of. And also, I was thinking about this morning. I went to buy a coffee at Starbucks, and I did it because I'm at a phase in life where I want to be taken care of. I will pay to have that done. I will pay for you to make my coffee. I will pay to, for you to pamper me. I will pay you.
Yeah.
And that's success right there. Because I mean, I don't have to have those luxuries, but I like them.
Yeah. It's time versus money. Yeah. And our time, you get to a point, and unless I live to be 100, which is highly unlikely, over half my life is definitely over, and so you start putting reality to that. And I think paying for your time is a pretty, I think it makes sense. I mean, it's a luxury for sure when we put it in the scheme of kind of the world.
Yeah.
So most Americans are in the top, and I figured this out once before, and I don't want to misquote it, but I think most Americans are in like the top 10% of luxury in the world, not the rich Americans. I'm talking about, middle class. Yeah. So we're really kind of skewed on what success means, what luxury means, what money means. I mean, go camping for a weekend is all just remember what it's like to go camping, then come back. You're like, running water, hot water is such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But I I think when family success really hit me, like you love your children and their babies and they're cute and you're tired and you're exhausted and you see them and they're growing. And I was still trying to be in the military and had 2 kids and my husband was deployed. I don't think I had time to absorb the, even though I realized the gravity of love and what that meant times a million. Now that I see my children as adults, now that they're adults, that is success.
Yeah.
Seeing that they're good children, that they have peace in their hearts, that they have a love of God, that they, the things that have stuck with them and who they've become, that is such a source of just joy for me that I didn't realize is critical.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seems obvious,
Mm-hmm.
but that's huge.
Yeah, it is. I remember one time my grandma and I were having an amazing conversation, and it was about the fact that there were so many people in her life who just wanted her money, wanted her things, wanted her one of her houses. She had a lot of rental properties, or wanted this or wanted that. And she would give and give and give and give. And she said, I think that every parent and every grandparent, all they ever want is for their children and their grandchildren to be able to take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really understood it totally. I was one of those kids who was like, I try not to take. So she was commenting on the fact that she was trying to give me money for gas for coming to see her. And I was like, no, grandma, it's okay. And I never forget that she said, every grandparent wants this. They want you to be able to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's true now that I have kids who are adults, like my dream is that my kids are going to be able to take care of themselves because I'm not going to be here forever. Mm-hmm. And so I just want them to be able to do that. But that said, knowing not to put the pressure on them of what I think my success is, I don't want to put that on them either. They need to come up with their own success.
Absolutely. That is one of the, that's another podcast. Mm-hmm. We're going to just save that. I was going to dive into that, but we'll save that one. That's a great segue to a different topic. Another thing that I know was a sign of success is education. Mm-hmm. And my brothers and I are super competitive. We're all almost the same height. We all played sports, just super competitive with each other in a borderline healthy way. But so I break us down into the smart one, the smart brother, the good looking one of the 3 of us. And then there's me. So there was an article in the paper. One of my brothers was salutatorian, and it was talking about, my brother Joey, who was at the North Carolina School of Science and Math, was this kind of prestigious high school. And, talking about all these things. And then his sister, she's in 8th grade. And I was like, oh. So, but Michael has his doctorate. My brother Joey is under the definition of super smart, amazing, ridiculously crazy, naturally talented, Einsteinish kind of people. Mm-hmm. There's a picture of my brother Joey. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, I'm the dumb one. I mean, that's how I grew up thinking. And I didn't realize, because they were both so smart, I didn't realize, well, you can't be their sister, mm-hmm. but I'm competitive. So Michael got his doctorate and I'm like, well, I have to get my doctorate. So I started working on my doctorate, and it was in something I really wanted. It was education, Christian leadership, Christian ministry. And I chose it to force me to learn the Bible in a way that I had not done before. So I really wanted it to be a degree that was a doctorate, mm-hmm. but it was something I wanted to study. And then August 2021 happened. My husband and I went over to help out, and I haven't picked it back up. Mm-hmm. And I had to let that piece of me go and realize that that does not make me a better Christian. It doesn't make me a better mom. It doesn't make me a better person. It does give me a little bragging rights with my brother. Mm-hmm. But other than that, and I'll go down this a little bit further. One of my best friends, actually I have a couple of best friends. I actually have 3 really close friends that have their high school degree. One of them makes more money in a year than my husband and I have made in our lifetime. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with that piece of paper. Mm-hmm. It is about who you are, your tenacity, your willingness to work hard, your ability to get things done. And that degree means nothing, but that has been this like status symbol for so long, and it's ridiculous, overplayed, overrated. Now, granted, I want my doctor to have gone to med school, but other than that, I think that school was created to keep people subservient. I really, really do, because wasn't it created by the Carnegies or the Rockefellers? They're like, hey, let's give everyone education so we can have good leaders in our working for us. And it really stifled the ingenuity and creativity and independence of entrepreneurs. So I am at this crosshairs right now where I'm like, hey, you do you and find your path that makes you feel fulfilled and that you're not dependent on other people. That is success.
Right. There were so many of my relatives when I was growing up. I would hear tiny stories of like this person or that person. And I had like some great, great uncle who never finished, elementary school, and he was successful and he did all this great, these great things. And then just about 2 weeks ago, I introduced Candace to one of my friends, Chris, and she has a 9th grade education, and she has a killer salon. She has her own makeup line. She has her own cosmetic line, and she's just booming. In fact, she's starting her own podcast. So I'll make sure, maybe we can talk to her sometime on our show. But
she is powerful. And this woman is confident. She oozes confidence. She's it lights up from within her, and her story is so inspirational. It is so inspirational. And I just, I'm in awe of people like her, of people who forge forward without succumbing to the pressures of what society has determined is success, no matter what that looks like.
Yes, absolutely.
So we've touched social, financial, spouse, education, family. And then the big one is, your looks, fitness, how you look and present yourself in clothes. I definitely think my give a damn is busted on that. I think it's, unless I'm on camera, I'm in a baseball cap, t-shirt, shorts,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not super frilly either. So today I actually was telling Candace, I'm like, I only have a few outfits here because my clothes are in another state right now. And I was like, you know what? Who cares? You all aren't going to really pay attention. Well, now you're going to pay attention. Right? Now you're going to be like, Patti, what are you wearing? Like, whatever. But it is funny because we do place a lot of emphasis on the way we look, and you don't know, if you're a podcaster and you're doing video, I think some of you can relate. Sometimes we'll record, I'm giving it away. Sometimes we'll record several episodes in one day. So we're flying out of clothes, putting new clothes on. And if you're listening to this and you just heard that, I want you to DM me on Facebook and I will send you a little prize. That's all I'm saying. And I'm never saying it again. So you're going to actually have to listen to this. I'm not putting it out into the universe. I'm not putting it on social media. If you heard that, DM me and I will send you a little prize.
Perfect.
And until I hit, wait a minute. If we start making millions and millions of listeners, I'm going to have a cutoff line. So from the time that this episode comes out, for the next 2 weeks.
Or the first. Yeah. However many people.
Yeah.
Maybe that.
The first 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, the first 2 weeks. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for listening. And I hope that you have, I hope that you're at a point where your success is determined by the peace that you have in your life and the contributions that you're making that mean something to you, and that it's not determined by any of these other factors where we talk about, unless that is how you view your version of success. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. Tell us, what do you think it takes to be successful? Yeah. What is that to you? I want to hear.
Join us on Second Level Podcast on Facebook. And Patti and I are both on there. You'll see us, so you can link to our Facebook or Instagram through that. And we look forward to next time.